My dear friends, let me tell you something about words. They are not just letters strung together. They are not just sounds in the air. No, words are mighty. Words can lift a soul or break a spirit. They can build bridges or tear them down. They can heal and they can wound. Words are like seeds. Plant them right and they will bloom into something beautiful. Scatter them carelessly and they might grow into a thorny mess. You see, what we say, how we say it, and when we say it, it all matters. A child who hears you are loved walks taller. A heartbroken soul who hears you are enough finds the strength to carry on. A weary traveler who hears you belong no longer feels lost. That is the power of words. Now, let me ask you, what words do you carry in your heart? Do you carry words that uplift, or do you carry words that weigh you down? Have you spoken words that set someone free, or have your words chained them to doubt? Because every word we speak leaves a mark. There is an old saying, the tongue has no bones, but it is strong enough to break a heart. So we must choose wisely. We must speak with love, with kindness, with truth. And when we don't know what to say, we must be still, for silence is better than words that wound. But do not forget, words are not only for others. The words we tell ourselves shape our own destiny. Tell yourself, I am strong, and you will stand firm. Tell yourself, I am worthy, and you will walk with pride. Tell yourself, I can, and watch yourself soar. Words are more than just sounds that leave our lips or ink that stains a page. They hold weight, they hold meaning, and they hold the power to shape the world around us. A single word can be a lifeline to someone drowning in despair, or it can be the stone that sinks them deeper. Think of the words that have stayed with you, words that made you feel invincible, words that made you feel small. Maybe it was a gentle I believe in you that gave you the courage to chase a dream. Or maybe it was a careless you'll never make it that made you hesitate. Words settle into the cracks of our hearts, growing roots, becoming truths, whether we want them to or not. A mother whispers love into her baby's ear long before the child understands language, and yet the warmth of those words shapes the child's spirit. A teacher with a simple phrase can light a fire in a student's heart that burns for a lifetime. A friend's encouragement can lift a person from the depths of doubt. And in the same way, an insult, a harsh judgment, or a dismissive tone can take hold and linger, echoing in someone's mind for years. Words can turn strangers into family, bring peace where there was once division, or mend wounds we cannot see. They can start movements that shake the foundations of injustice. They can be a shield for the weak, a sword for the bold, a song for the brokenhearted. So we must never be careless with them. A word once spoken takes on a life of its own. It moves through the air, into hearts, into minds, shaping, shifting, stirring. It carries energy that can either build or break. And once it is released, it cannot be pulled back. That is the power of words. Words shape us long before we even realize it. They tell us who we are, what we are worth, and what we can become. From the moment we are born, we are surrounded by voices that affirm us, voices that question us, voices that label us before we can even form our own understanding of self. These words settle into our minds, wrapping around our thoughts like vines, weaving themselves into the very fabric of our identity. Think of a child growing up in a home filled with love and encouragement. Every time they hear, "You are special, you are smart, you can do anything," those words build them up, brick by brick, into a person who believes in their own strength. They learn to walk with confidence, to speak with certainty, to try and fail and try again because they have been told that they are capable. Those words become the foundation on which they build their dreams. Now, imagine another child who hears only criticism: "You're not good enough, you're too slow, you'll never make it." Those words settle into the heart like heavy stones. They become doubts that whisper in the quiet moments, making the child question their worth. Even if the world later tells them otherwise, those early words cling to them, making them hesitate, making them shrink when they should stand tall. Words do not simply describe, they define. A single phrase spoken by a teacher, a parent, or a friend can leave a lasting imprint. A child told they are a leader will begin to step forward with courage. A person constantly called trouble will begin to believe they are meant for nothing else. Labels, whether given in kindness or carelessness, shape how we see ourselves and in turn, how we move through the world. But words don't just shape us in childhood, they continue to mold us throughout life. A struggling artist who hears your work is powerful may hold on to that phrase through years of doubt. A person facing hardship who is told you are strong may find strength they never knew they had. Even in adulthood, the right words spoken at the right time can lift us, change us, remind us of who we are. And then there is the most powerful voice of all, the one inside our own heads. The words we speak to ourselves become the strongest force shaping our identity. If we tell ourselves, I am not enough, we begin to act as if it is true. But if we tell ourselves, I am worthy, I am capable, I am growing, then we begin to move in ways that make those words a reality. This is why we must choose words carefully, not just the words we speak to others, but the words we speak to ourselves. We must use words that build, words that encourage, words that remind us of the greatness within. Because words do more than communicate, they create. And what they create is who we become. Words are not light things that simply float away after being spoken. They are not mere sounds that vanish into the air, leaving no trace. No, words carry weight. They settle into the hearts and minds of those who hear them, sometimes lifting them up, sometimes pulling them down, but never leaving them untouched. A word spoken today can echo for years, shaping the way someone sees themselves, the way they move through the world, the way they dream, or the way they shrink away from life's possibilities. Think about a time when someone's words changed you. Maybe it was a compliment that made you stand taller, made you believe in yourself in a way you never had before. Maybe it was a cruel remark that cut deep, leaving a scar that even time has struggled to heal. That is the weight of words. They do not disappear when the moment passes. They stay, resting in the mind, playing on repeat in the quiet moments, influencing thoughts and decisions in ways we may not even realize. A kind word, a gentle encouragement, or a simple acknowledgement of someone's efforts can feel like a warm hand lifting a person from doubt and fear. Imagine someone who has been struggling, who feels unseen, unheard, unimportant. Then one day they hear, I see you. I appreciate you. You matter. That moment, that simple phrase, can feel like a sudden rush of light breaking through the darkness. It can remind them that they are not invisible, that their presence in this world is meaningful. And that small moment of kindness can ripple outward, influencing how they carry themselves, how they interact with others, how they approach the world. But just as words can uplift, they can also weigh people down. A thoughtless insult, a cruel joke, an offhand remark spoken without care can settle in someone's heart like a stone, making it harder to move forward, harder to believe in themselves. A child called stupid too many times may stop raising their hand in class. An artist told their work is not good enough may put down their brush for years. A person constantly criticized for their appearance may begin to see only flaws in the mirror, even when beauty stares back at them. Words, once spoken, do not simply vanish, they linger, shaping self-perception, altering confidence, and influencing choices in ways both big and small. The weight of words can also be felt in the silence they leave behind. Words left unsaid can be just as heavy as those spoken. The apology never given, the love never expressed, the encouragement withheld, these silences can create wounds of their own. A person longing for validation may carry the weight of absence just as deeply as they would carry the burden of harsh words. Sometimes not saying I love you, I'm proud of you, or I believe in you can be just as damaging as saying something cruel. Words carry weight not just in what they say, but in how they are said. The same phrase spoken with love can bring comfort. Spoken with indifference, it can feel hollow. Spoken with anger, it can cut deep. A simple "I'm here for you" means nothing if said without sincerity, but can mean everything when spoken with true care. This is why we must be mindful of the words we choose, for once they are spoken, they cannot be taken back. They can be forgiven, yes, but forgotten? Rarely. A word can rest in someone's heart for years, decades even. The words we leave with people become part of their inner world, part of the way they think, part of the way they see themselves. We may forget what we have said, but the person who heard it may carry it with them for a lifetime. And so we must speak with care. We must be aware that our words have weight, that they leave marks, that they have the power to change lives. Because words are not light things. They can either be burdens that weigh people down or wings that help them rise. The choice is ours. Words are not things to be tossed carelessly into the air as if they have no meaning beyond the moment they are spoken. They are not pebbles that sink and disappear without a trace. No, words are powerful, and like fire, they can warm or burn like water. They can nourish or drown like seeds. They can grow into something beautiful or take root as something harmful. That is why we must choose them wisely, for once spoken, they cannot be unspoken. Think of the times you have heard words that stayed with you, both the kind and the cruel. A single careless remark can cling to a person for years, altering their self-perception, making them doubt their own worth. Someone told they are not good enough may hesitate at every opportunity. Someone labeled a failure may never dare to try again. And yet, a single phrase of encouragement spoken at the right time can change the course of a life. A struggling student who hears you are capable, you just need to believe in yourself, may suddenly find the strength to push forward. A weary soul who is reminded you are stronger than you think may gather the courage to face another day. Words should be chosen with care because they have the power to heal or to harm, and we do not always know which words will stay with someone forever. A simple joke spoken without malice may unknowingly touch upon an old wound. A thoughtless comment, meant as harmless criticism, may be the final weight that breaks someone's spirit. And in the same way, an encouraging word spoken casually may become the lifeline someone holds on to in their darkest moments. We must never underestimate the power our words hold over others. There are moments when silence is better than the wrong words. In anger, in frustration, in exhaustion, it is easy to say something sharp, something bitter, something we may later regret. But once a word is spoken, it takes flight. It enters someone's mind and heart. And even if we apologize, even if we wish we could take it back, the wound it caused may remain. That is why we must pause before we speak. Ask ourselves if our words will build or break, if they will comfort or cut. A single moment of thoughtfulness before speaking can save years of regret. Choosing words wisely does not mean speaking less, it means speaking with purpose. It means knowing that every word has an effect, even the one spoken in passing. It means understanding that words can be tools for connection or weapons of division. When we speak with wisdom, we do not use words to win arguments, to prove superiority, or to cut others down. Instead, we use them to uplift, to encourage, to bring understanding where there was once confusion, to bring warmth where there was once coldness. The words we choose also shape the way we see ourselves. If we speak in doubt, we create doubt. If we fill our conversations with negativity, we create a negative world for ourselves and those around us. But if we speak with hope, if we choose words that inspire, if we fill our language with kindness, we not only uplift others, we transform our own hearts in the process. The more we speak of love, of strength, of wisdom, the more we begin to embody those very things. We must remember that words hold power, even when spoken casually. A quick "I appreciate you" can make someone's whole day better. A "you did well" can give someone the motivation to keep going. A thank you can make someone feel seen. And in the same way, a dismissive tone, a careless insult, a sarcastic remark can have effects deeper than we intend. We never know what someone else is carrying, what battles they are fighting in silence, and our words can either be the weight that breaks them or the hand that lifts them. To choose words wisely is to recognize that what we say becomes part of the world we live in. It is to understand that our words can bring peace or chaos, love or pain, hope or despair. It is to know that even the smallest phrase can have the biggest impact. And so before we speak, we must always ask, will these words heal or will they harm? Will they lift or will they crush? Because once spoken words live on. And it is up to us to make sure they leave behind something good. There are moments in life when silence holds more power than words. Moments when the absence of speech carries more wisdom than a careless remark ever could. Too often people rush to fill the quiet with words, as if silence is something to be feared. But silence, when chosen wisely, can be an act of kindness, an act of strength, an act of wisdom. We have all witnessed the damage that thoughtless words can do. A sharp insult, a reckless accusation, a joke spoken without thinking, all can wound deeper than we ever intended. A single careless remark can turn a peaceful moment into a storm, a friendship into a fracture, or a heart full of hope into one burdened by doubt. And once words have been spoken, they cannot be taken back. Apologies may be given, forgiveness may be granted, but the weight of those words often lingers, shaping emotions, changing relationships, and leaving marks that time cannot easily erase. There are times when emotions run high, when anger burns hot, when frustration clouds judgment. In these moments, the urge to speak quickly, to defend, to retaliate, to prove a point, can feel almost impossible to resist. But in these very moments, silence is often the wisest choice. When we speak in anger, we do not speak with reason. When we speak in frustration, we do not speak with clarity. We risk saying things that do not reflect the truth, but rather reflect only the heat of the moment. And words spoken in such a state can do more damage than we ever intended. A single harsh sentence can break trust that took years to build. A single careless statement can plant a seed of doubt that grows into a forest of insecurity. Silence, on the other hand, can prevent this harm. Silence allows space for emotions to settle, for perspective to return, for wisdom to take the place of impulse. It offers the opportunity to reflect before speaking, to ask, is this necessary? Is this kind? Is this true? And if the answer is no, then silence is the better path. Silence does not mean weakness. It does not mean submission. It does not mean that we have nothing to say. Rather, it is a choice to prevent harm, to preserve peace, to offer respect, and to wait until words can be spoken with intention rather than recklessness. But silence is not only useful in moments of conflict. There are times when silence is the greatest comfort we can offer another. When someone is grieving, when someone is lost in pain, when someone is carrying a burden too heavy to bear, sometimes there are no words that can make it better. In such moments, words often fail. Telling someone to stay strong does not always ease their pain. Offering advice does not always help them heal. Sometimes the best thing we can do is simply be present, to sit in the silence with them, to let them know they are not alone. Silence, in these moments, is not empty. It is full of understanding, of support, of quiet love that speaks louder than words ever could. Silence is also a teacher. It allows us to listen not just to others, but to ourselves. In the stillness, we hear the thoughts that are drowned out by constant noise. We recognize the emotions beneath the surface. We see the truths that might otherwise be buried under a rush of hurried speech. It is in silence that wisdom grows. It is in silence that we learn to understand not just what we want to say, but what needs to be said. And often what needs to be said is far less than we think. In a world that values speaking, debating, proving a point, and making noise, silence can feel unnatural. But there is power in resisting the urge to fill every empty space with words. There is strength in knowing when to speak and when to remain quiet. There is wisdom in understanding that not every thought needs to be voiced. Not every argument needs to be had. Not every silence needs to be broken. To master silence is to master the art of communication itself, It is to understand that words are precious and that their impact is determined not just by what we say, but by what we choose not to say. Sometimes the best way to be heard is to be silent. Sometimes the most powerful message is the one left unspoken. And sometimes choosing silence is not avoidance, it is grace. It is patience, it is wisdom. The way we speak to ourselves shapes everything about us, our confidence, our choices, our sense of worth, and ultimately, the way we move through the world. Every day an inner voice speaks within us, narrating our experiences, interpreting our successes, and explaining our failures. It is a voice that never truly rests, and whether whispers encouragement or criticism, it is always shaping our reality. Self-talk matters because the mind believes what it hears repeatedly. If we tell ourselves that we are not good enough, that we are failures, that we are unworthy, those words take root. They become the foundation upon which we build our identity. A person who constantly thinks, I can't do this, may never try. A person who tells themselves, I always mess things up, may begin to expect failure, welcoming it before it even arrives. Words, even when unspoken, have the power to build or destroy. And when those words come from within, they can be the strongest force shaping a person's destiny. Think of the times you have faced a challenge. Perhaps it was a difficult task, an important opportunity, or a moment where you had to step outside of your comfort zone. What did your inner voice say? Did it push you forward saying, you can do this, you are capable, you are prepared? Or did it hold you back, whispering, you're not ready, you'll embarrass yourself, you'll fail? The words we tell ourselves in these moments determine whether we rise to the occasion or retreat in fear. They determine whether we seize opportunities or let them slip through our fingers. Self-talk is not just about motivation, it is about identity. A person who constantly calls themselves a failure begins to embody that belief. A person who tells themselves, I am weak, will struggle to find strength, even when they need it most. But the opposite is also true. A person who tells themselves, I am resilient, will find ways to endure even the hardest moments. A person who says, I am learning instead of I am failing, will continue to grow, even in the face of setbacks. The words we speak to ourselves affect how we respond to difficulties. When we experience failure, self-talk determines whether we view it as a lesson or as proof that we should give up. When we face rejection, self-talk determines whether we try again or whether we let one moment define us. A person who practices kind and constructive self-talk will see obstacles as temporary and setbacks as stepping stones. A person whose inner voice is harsh and unforgiving will see every mistake as confirmation of their deepest fears that they are not good enough, that they will never succeed. The world will not always be kind. There will be moments when others doubt us, criticize us, or try to bring us down. But if our own voice is strong, if we have trained ourselves to speak words of encouragement and resilience, then no external voice will have the power to break us. When the world says you can't, we must be able to say, I will. When circumstances make us feel small, we must remind ourselves, I am enough. Self-talk also influences our relationships with others. A person who constantly speaks negatively to themselves will struggle to accept kindness, will question the sincerity of compliments, and may even push people away. If someone believes deep down that they are unworthy, they may reject love, opportunities, and happiness even when they are right in front of them. But a person who speaks to themselves with kindness and confidence will naturally carry themselves differently. They will walk into a room knowing they belong. They will embrace opportunities with the belief that they deserve them. They will attract people who reflect the same positive energy that they give to themselves. Changing self-talk is not easy. It requires unlearning years, sometimes decades of negative messages. It means recognizing when we are being our own worst enemy and making the conscious choice to speak to ourselves as we would speak to a dear friend. If a loved one came to us full of doubt and fear, we would never say, you're hopeless, you'll never succeed. So why do we say such things to ourselves? Why do we choose words for ourselves that we would never use for someone we care about? We must learn to be our own source of encouragement, to tell ourselves I am capable even when we feel uncertain, to remind ourselves I am growing even when progress feels slow, to say I am worthy even when doubt creeps in. Because the truth is, self-talk is not just about words, it is about belief. And the more we speak kindness and strength into our own minds, the more we begin to believe it. And when we believe it, we become it. Words have the power to move mountains, not with force, not with fire, but with the quiet strength of an idea planted in the mind, nurtured in the heart, and carried forward by action. Change does not always begin with great events, with revolutions or upheavals. More often it begins with words. A single sentence, a single phrase, spoken at the right moment, can set off a chain reaction that shifts perspectives, breaks down barriers, and reshapes the world. Words create change because they have the power to ignite thought. A new idea, spoken with clarity and conviction, can challenge what people have always believed, can make them see something they never considered before. Throughout history, words have inspired movements, have called for justice, have lifted people from despair, and have reminded those who feel invisible that they matter. A well-placed word can open a door in the mind, allowing light to pour in where there was once only darkness. Change does not come without resistance. People cling to what is familiar, to the way things have always been. But words have a way of planting seeds of doubt in the certainty of old beliefs. They challenge the comfortable, the accepted, the unquestioned. They whisper in the ears of those who have never thought to ask, what if there is another way? What if we could be better? What if the world could be different? And when such a thought takes root, it is hard to ignore. Words also create change by giving voice to the unheard. Those who have been silenced, who have been told their experiences do not matter, who have been made to feel small, find power in words. A person who has never had a platform, who has never been allowed to speak their truth, can change the course of history simply by standing up and saying, this is my story. This is what I have endured. This is why it must change. And when those words are spoken, when they are heard, they give courage to others who have been silent for too long. One voice becomes many, one story becomes a movement, and suddenly, what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Words create change because they carry emotion. Facts and logic can inform, but it is words that move people to act. A well-crafted argument may convince the mind, but it is the right words, spoken in the right way, that stir the soul. Passion, pain, love, hope, all of these are carried through words, and it is through emotion that people are compelled to rise, to stand, to fight for something greater than themselves. Even on a personal level, words create change in the way we see ourselves, in the way we navigate our own lives. A single compliment can shift a person's self-perception. A word of encouragement can be the push someone needs to take a risk, to pursue a dream, to believe in themselves when they had begun to lose faith. A harsh word, on the other hand, can shake someone's confidence, can hold them back, can make them question their worth. And so, words do not just change the world in grand ways, they change it in the quiet, unseen moments, in the conversations between friends, in the lessons passed down from one generation to the next, in the way we speak to ourselves when no one else is listening. Change does not happen overnight, and it does not always happen loudly. Sometimes it begins in a whisper, in a sentence scribbled on a piece of paper, in a quiet conversation between two people, in a speech that moves a room to tears, in a book that makes a person see the world differently than they did before they turned the first page. But no matter how it begins, all great change is rooted in words. Words have started revolutions. Words have ended wars. Words have healed nations. Words have built bridges where there were once only walls. And in the end, when all else fades, words remain. They carry forward long after we are gone, shaping the world that comes after us, leaving echoes that ripple through time. That is the power of words. They do not just describe the world as it is, they create the world as it will be. Words are not feathers in the wind drifting away without consequence. They are not sounds that vanish the moment they leave our lips. Words have weight, and once spoken, they carry forward, shaping emotions, influencing minds, and leaving impressions that can last a lifetime. We are responsible for every word we choose to speak because words once released cannot be undone. Too often, people speak without thinking, believing that words are fleeting, that they hold no real power. But words can uplift or destroy, inspire or wound, heal or divide. A careless insult can linger in someone's heart for years. A moment of anger, a sharp remark, a sarcastic comment made without much thought, these things may seem small to the one speaking, but to the one receiving them, they can be life-altering. And once harm has been done, even an apology cannot fully erase the impact. Words have the ability to create wounds that no one can see, but that does not mean those wounds are not real. It is easy to blame emotion for words spoken in haste, to say, I didn't mean it, or I was just upset, as if words spoken in frustration or anger do not count. But they do. Words spoken in a moment of heat still carry their weight, still land on the heart of another, still have the power to wound, regardless of intention. That is why we must be mindful, why we must pause before we speak, why we must ask ourselves if our words are necessary, if they are true, if they are kind. Being responsible for our words also means understanding their reach. In today's world, where words travel farther than ever before through social media, through messages, through platforms that give voice to millions, what we say can have an impact far beyond what we can see. A single post, a single comment can spread like wildfire, influencing others, shaping opinions, and sometimes causing harm in ways we never anticipated. It is no longer just about the words we speak in the presence of one or two people. It is about the words we send out into the world, words that may reach strangers, words that may be read long after we have forgotten we even said them. Words also hold power in the way we speak about others. Gossip, rumors, assumptions, these things can damage reputations, can turn truth into fiction, can create divisions where there once was unity. We must ask ourselves before we speak of another, are our words fair? Are they based in truth? Are they spoken with good intent, or are they meant to tear down? Because once we put a label on someone with our words, once we attach a false story to their name, we cannot control how far that story will spread. We are not only responsible for the words we say aloud, but also for the words we leave unchallenged. Silence can be just as powerful as speech. When we hear harmful words, when we see words being used to hurt, to oppress, to divide, we must ask ourselves, do we allow those words to stand, or do we use our own words to counter them? Responsibility is not just about avoiding harm. It is about using our voices for good, about speaking truth where there is falsehood, about using words to defend rather than to destroy. Taking responsibility for our words also means being honest with ourselves. It means recognizing when we have spoken carelessly, when we have hurt someone, when our words have done more harm than good. And in those moments, responsibility means owning up to it. Apologizing when necessary, not with excuses, not with justifications, but with sincerity. Because to be responsible for our words means not only choosing them wisely, but also making amends when we fail to do so. Words shape relationships. They build trust, or they break it. They create understanding, or they create distance. They determine how we are remembered, how we make others feel, how we contribute to the world around us. The words we choose today will live in the hearts of those who hear them long after they have left our mouths. And that is why we must always remember, words are not just something we say. They are something we are accountable for. Words are one of the greatest powers we possess, and with great power comes great responsibility. Every word we speak is a reflection of who we are, what we stand for, and the kind of impact we choose to leave on the world. We must remember that once words are spoken, they cannot be erased, only remembered. They can be a force for good or a weapon of harm, and the choice is always ours. So let us choose wisely. Let us speak with intention, with kindness, with truth. Let us use our words to build, to heal, to inspire, to bring light instead of darkness. And when we falter, because we all will, let us take responsibility, make amends, and do better. Because in the end, our words will be our legacy. Let them be a legacy we can be proud of.